Hello and welcome back to the semifinals of the Apex Pioneer Open. I'm Tandy, joined by Bo Matt. Say hi, Bo Matt.
Hi, Bo Matt.
We're down to just 4 players. Matt, why don't you give us a rundown of the 4 players, the decks they're playing, and the matchups we're going to be watching?
On our backup feature, our Dylan Ham playing that Rakdos mid-range deck versus Brad Pizzuto on Mono White Humans, and then we're gonna be watching on the primary feature Samuel Ball on Gruul Boats against one of our guests, Mason Clark, playing Mono Green Devotion.
Yeah, that Mono Green Devotion deck really tearing up the event. I know we just watched the finals of the Reese from today, and the top 2 were both Mono Green Devotion.
Yep.
Corey Baumeister top 80 with Mono Green Devotion. So really, honestly, this is a Mono Green Devotion world, and we're all just living in it. So let's go and head on down to the feature match area where we're going to watch Mason Esports Clark try to defeat Gruul Boats. Who's going to take it down? Which Lenore deck is best? Now we get to actually see. Mason's going to be on your right. His opponent, Samuel Ball, is going to be on the left. 602 versus 7-1. I guess Sam's on the play, huh? He had to play his last round for the winning end, maybe?
Yeah, looks like it. And we're off to the races with Copperline Gorge and Elvish Mystic.
Elfew. No, Elfew. No, Elfew.
Let's see if Sam can apply enough pressure to close the game out before Mono Green can take over.
Here is
Reckless Stormseeker.
And I know I made the joke already, but I just won't make it again. All right, it is daytime. We need to get a day-night token on the table. You got to be keeping up with it. Maybe the most obnoxious ability the Magic has ever created. You have to keep up with it even when it's no longer in play. You know how absurd that is? As a game? Like, as a game. You know how
I've played
silly
with
that
it.
is?
I know how silly it is. I've been there asking players, hey, what time is it? Someone's got to keep up. More elves.
Yeah, Elfie.
I am elfier than you are.
Yeah, all right. 3 elves for Mason Clark. A lot of devotion on the table if he has a Nykthos in hand. We'll have to wait and see what the following play is. But Reckless Stormseeker from Samuel Ball looks pretty intimidating. Let's see what the play is here. 4 mana, Essica's Chariot, giving this one haste and jamming in for tons of damage. Making a bunch of wolves in the meantime. This is, excuse me, not
Cats.
wolves, kitty cats. And a dance, 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 and a dance, dance, dance. All right, we're going to activate. We're going to give it haste. We're going to send 7 damage over and make another token. This is turn 3, chat. Turn 3.
Yeah, this is exactly what Samuel's looking to do. Even if Mason's able to get down some good blockers like a Cavalier of Thorns, the cats are just going to overwhelm him.
Is Regular Stormseeker any good? It's hard to tell.
You know, there's this one deck you should check out, and looking at Samuel's hand has the best follow-up as well if he draws a land in another Sky Sovereign. See if Mason can put up a defense.
All right, well, see if Mason has a Nykthos here. He's got head and hands. I think we're dead. I think the game has ended before it began because we didn't draw Nykthos. And we're facing down the nuttiest of nut draws from Gruul vehicles, the 1, 3, 4, with Elf into Stormseeker into Eska's Chariot. I honestly can't think of too many better 4-drops I'd want to put into play when I have Reckless Stormseeker on the table. Eska's Chariot is a heavy hitter.
Absolutely. Just the there's the heavy hit right off the bat, and then just there's 10 power on the board from this Chariot alone right now. Pretty absurd. Let's see if Mason wants to start on a Kiora or an Old Growth Troll. Not really going to get the job done.
Well, can go Kiora, untap 1, play Troll, draw a card, maybe look for a land or something else to play.
If you think it'll help.
I mean, look, a 4/4 blocking, is it even going to help? I guess you have to crew, so maybe it does help.
Right. Yep, there's the Kiora, there's the Troll. Hey, we got to draw a card.
All right, drew Storm in the Festival, but still only 5 mana with the Kiora makes 6. Needs a Nykthos next turn to have a shot, and needs to not die this turn. Seems like a tall order.
Exactly. Only 1 blocker. If Samuel just plays a creature to crew, I think we might have lethal on the board.
All right, so plays Love Struck Beast, use it to crew Chariot. We chump Chariot, or block Chariot, we take a bunch.
I think we might even want to give this Love Struck Beast haste. That's a bigger attack than the Chariot is.
It's true. But you don't get a kitty.
You know, I think Sam's got enough cats. I don't know what he's feeding these cats with, but it seems unsustainable to
You know
me.
who's got more cats than Samuel Ball?
Who's that?
Me.
That's true.
I got 4, and I love them.
They ever drive your car?
Do they ever drive my car? No, I don't let them drive. When we go to the vet, no, I don't let them drive.
I don't know. It sounds like Essica is more of the fun parent then.
All right, so we're gonna tap 2. We're gonna crew the chariot.
Nope,
Or we're
no
not even
crewing.
no
We
crew
are
in the chariot. We're just sending.
in the red zone.
So we got a block left shark beast. We take 2, 4, 6, 8. This is not lethal. I feel like there was a lethal line here that was missed. Left shark beast doesn't die. And the old girl troll should be coming back to enchant the land. And honestly, if Nykthos is drawn for the turn, Mason can win the game. He's clapping his hands.
Mason knows all about showmanship.
Let's go. Bang. Nope, that
That's
ain't
not
it.
the face of a man who's drawn Nykthos.
Might have a redraw if he has one of those triple green pip creatures. Even
Right.
Cavalier of Thorns might be able to give him a redraw at it.
Absolutely. Cavalier is one of the best tools Mason has from this point. Could draw the land and put an extra land into play, giving him plenty of looks at a Nykthos if he has one.
He's about to do some maths. Quick maths. We got 1, 2, 3. Maybe he did draw Nykthos. He's doing literally arithmetic. Can you put the Nykthos in play so that we don't sweat anymore, my brother?
Look, I watched Mason on some off-camera matches. He seems to enjoy making his opponents sweat a little bit. We're counting. We're maybe talking to a judge even. We're
No,
just
he's talking to
counting out
himself.
loud.
Counting out loud. Doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pick up sticks. And we got a Kiora. I saw Storm the Festival. Maybe he's trying to figure out if casting Storm the Festival is viable here.
Yeah, and honestly, it could be. If he taps out for a storm and finds any Nykthos at all, the Kiora can untap that forest and give him an activation, meaning we could be off to the races with any payoff Mason has available. But he's just trying to work out the line with his back against the wall.
I thought I saw a Nykthos.
I'm pretty sure I saw a Nykthos.
Okay. All right. Here we go. Play it. What are you doing? I don't understand. I think he's
Still
try-
talking, trying to work
wonder-
out this entire turn maybe.
I wonder if he has a deterministic kill, or is he's trying to see if he has a deterministic kill and he doesn't want to mess it up.
There's the Nykthos.
All right, so here we
Let's
go.
see some
1,
fireworks.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mana. With Kiora, that's 14.
Going up to, yep, 14,
I
like you
don't
said.
think you need to do it now unless you're gonna just go Karn. But I guess he is just gonna go Karn. Maybe Karn for Chain Veil. Just gonna keep going forever.
Yeah, Mason maybe trying not to leave anything up to chance if he has the win available with all these resources.
Okay.
So the Karn puts you down to 10, Chain Veil puts you down to 6, Activating puts you down to 2, and that is another Kiora and another Nykthos activation.
And I believe he's got another Cure in hand. Don't count. Don't hold me to that. But I thought he had one more.
So this is interesting. Mason maybe changing his mind a little and playing the Cavalier. He had an opportunity before activating this Kiora to play the Cavalier and get some more devotion in play, but decided to take a different line than the one he had planned out.
This is the arithmetic part we were talking about earlier.
Exactly.
He did a bunch of quick maths, made a bad play, decided I'm going to make a different play. We're not going to sweat it. We might still win anyway.
Right, so Mason here with 9 mana floating, 3 elves, and 2 lands. 14 mana still available. Like we said, 12 mana to play Karn, get the Chain Veil, and activate. Mason can still get up to some fireworks and try to end the game this turn.
All right. I'm just going to let you take it from here. I'm going to take a drink of water because snoozing.
All right. Yeah, so the reason Mason thought better of the Karn eventually is he decided he needed a little more devotion in play
Right.
to actually go mana positive once the Chain Veil is online even. And notably, I don't know if I've seen another Kiora in hand, so if Mason is relying on this one Kiora, it's possible he has to dig to try to find the deterministic kill rather than just showing it to his opponent. that's another reason to play the Cavalier is looking for another Kiora off the mill, which I am not sure whether we hit.
I think we have Storm in the Festival, so I think Storm in the Festival is probably just we got to go for it. Hopefully, we get super lucky. Something like Kiora and Nykthos will let him just chain off forever. We found the Kiora. That's step one. We found two Kioras. That's not as good, but it's still maybe good enough. Because he does
Right.
have another Karn in hand, and this is going to give him a ton of mana.
So Mason essentially gets to try again on this Karn line with the Nykthos. So we are now at 4, 7, 10, 11, 12 devotion in play, plus 3 elves and 2 lands, and 3 floating.
All right,
Let's
three
see
floating.
how much Mason can get up to.
So it's
Activate.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So up to 13 is what I got. And then I think only two of the elves can tap for mana, but
3
two.
of the elves.
Okay.
Alright, there's our Nykthos mana, plus 5 in play, puts us at a full 18. Still enough to get the chain going with Karn. Mason just double and triple checking his math. He's back against the wall here. Uh, Likely can't pass the turn to his opponent. We know about that Sky Sovereign threatening flying damage, though not through Cavalier of Thorns.
Yeah. All right. So Karn, let's walk through the sequence here. So we go Karn. We get the Chain Veil. We activate the Chain Veil. That's -8. So we go from 13 to 5 floating. And then we go activate Cure again when we target Chain Veil, right?
Right,
And then we activate the Cure again, targeting Nykthos on the last time, so we get the super juiced again, right?
right.
Then
And there's a bunch of variants on this on these combo lines depending on exactly which resources. Um, I don't know whether we have a second Karn, but second Karn is really the spot where you can go for the most, mainstream line of just entering the restorative burst loop. So now that Mason is underway, let's see which resources he actually has to establish this combo. And it's possible with all these elves in play. If Mason ends up, bricking a little bit, if the last Karn can get a cityscape leveler, that kind of locks down the board. As far as blockers,
we're talking about Seascape level. We're just going infinite with restorative burst, right? Come on now.
well, he hasn't done it yet. So I'm just saying there's always outs. Uh, Someone once said he had. I talked to a monogreen player who had won an RCQ, and he said, I never actually had to combo. I kind of just got Cityscape Leveler every time. And Mason
I
kind
know
of
who you're
showing.
talking about. I don't want to say it, but I don't want him to be mad at me.
All right, we do see the Restorative Burst recycling this Kiora. The new Kiora, of course, can activate multiple times, targeting Nykthos, then the Chain Veil, and then as many times as he has mana available, stack more Chain Veils. And there's the second Karn. Mason is
Wow.
going to say, now you're dead. I
Wow.
figured it out.
What a sweat, but Mason Clark does take game number 1. We had an incredible start from the Gruul Vehicles player, and it wasn't enough. A combo kill after just ramping a bunch. Turns out Llanowar Elves now better than old Seething Song, huh?
Right, and now these players are going to go to their sideboards. Samuel is going to be on the play with Gruul Vehicles. Let's see what he has packing. 2 copies of Cindervine, 1 Embercleave, 2 Clothis God of Destiny, 3 Rending Volley, 2 Fry, 1 Chandra Awakened Inferno, 1 the Stonebrain, 1 Unlicensed Hearse, 1 Thrun Breaker of Silence, and 1 Gruul Charm.
Wow, Gruul Charm. That's one you haven't heard in a long time.
So one
Can you
interest.
tell me all 3 modes on Gruul Charm?
Absolutely not. Why
All
don't you
right.
tell
All
us?
right. It's deal 3 to flyers.
Yep.
Creatures without flying can't block?
Oh,
Question mark?
really?
No, 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 no. Hold on. Let me really think about this one. One of them is like, well, one of them is steal back all the things that got stolen, like a pretty useless
Okay.
ability.
Gain control of all your permanents.
But then, and then one of them's deal 3 to all flyers, and I think the last one's like a creatures without flying can't block. But I'm not 100% on that. I can't remember.
That could be important. If that mode is on that card, we might see it come into this matchup. But the cards we do know the text of, Embercleave.
Bang.
If Samuel had Embercleave in that game, that would have been definite lethal instead of just maybe lethal on that last turn. And then looking through the rest, It's possible he boards in the Stone Brain, try to take care of the Karns that were, crucial to Mason being able to uh, win with his back against the wall in that game. But I personally would not really like to see the Stone Brain. Mason can just get a Karn on the table and totally invalidate the reason you ever brought in that card. Uh, Outside of that, it doesn't look like the sideboard is really built to fight against mono green. Samuel really trying to get it done with raw aggression, like we almost saw in game one.
All right. Well, from Mason Clark's side of things, that mono green devotion deck usually doesn't sideboard too much, but is there anything that's catching your eye? Something you might want to bring in?
Uh,
Something like Eska's Chariot or anything like that over there?
exactly. Chariot can definitely gum up the board and slow the game down enough for Mason to do exactly what he did in game one. Outside of that, a lot of these cards you're gonna want to bring it off of Karn,
Yeah.
but I would not mind seeing a Sky Sovereign console flagship from Mason coming down on turn 3 before you can even play a Karn to get rid of, for example, a Reckless Stormseeker
Right.
can really make it hard for Samuel to get back in the game.
I think my favorite iteration of Mono Green Devotion was the one with two Sky Sovereigns main deck in the flex slots.
Right.
Before Cityscape Leveler, before Lovestruck Beast
Before
became popular,
Pelucranos.
before Pelucranos, and even before old Nicol Bolas the Ravager, when people were splashing that in their deck. Or not the
Right.
Ravager, Nicol
Dragon
Bolas,
God.
Dragon God.
I do miss those days, putting that
Sky
Planeswalker
Sovereign's
into play.
hot though, man. Holy. Alright, Mason drawing 7, so Samuel Ball, we're going to be taking a look at our openers. I see a Nykthos, some elves, but I don't see a green source from Mason, so he might be on the mulligan here. Oh, I saw the force, so that hand looks great. Samuel Ball's hand, on the other hand, doesn't look so good. No one drop that I see. No elf.
Yeah, he's wrestling with it. It's a tight spot. Has no more losses to give. If he wants to move on to our finals here and read some qualifications.
Oh, okay. Maybe Mason's hand wasn't as good as I thought. That's okay. He's going to take an aggressive mulligan here to 6. Looking for that turn 1 elf start. Elf into Kiora is ideal. And Samuel Ball, though, keeping a relatively weak hand as far as I can tell. No elf. No removal spell to speak of. Turn 3, Voldaren
Thrill Seeker.
Thrill Seeker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Mono green, of course, no stranger to mulligans. Really got to make sure you have an explosive start. And we'll see what Mason can come up with.
All right. Here's the 6. Take a look in a book. Mason has gotten really good at mulliganing, and we talked a lot about it yesterday when he was playing Rakdos Evoke. He
Right.
made it to the top 8 of our event yesterday, our 5K, our monstrous 8 rounds of Swiss. Ultimately fell in the quarters, but, deck's good.
Yeah, looks like Mason likes this hand and is currently deciding whether to put back a basic forest or an Oath of Nissa.
I think he's got 2 Oath of Nissa, so I think the second one is a decent putback. It doesn't add to devotion. It's just like
Right.
it's like a sorcery or whatever, basically.
And we're going to be off to the races shortly.
This race you speak of, where people are going to be off on, may I come? Where's it at?
Well, first you got to play 7 rounds of Swiss.
Ah, crap.
Make it to the top 8.
I already failed. All right.
Lovestruck Beast, Heart's Desire. We did have a 1-drop, though not going to put us ahead of this Land of War Elves. Sorry, elf. Just an elf.
Just
no
ahead
need to
of-
be
ahead of this
specific.
Yeah, because you're just gonna say the wrong one most of the time, like
Right.
me. Ooh, does have Bone Crusher Giant to stomp the elf and attack for 1 with that human token. We're back, Mason Clark.
Right, so we weren't seeing a 1-drop or removal spell in Samuel's hand. Turns out they were just hidden on some adventure cards.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, back Samuel Ball's way. Has the 3rd land with Carpolution Force untapped if he wants to play Lovestruck Beast or Bone Crusher Giant. That paired with the human token can provide him some pressure.
And we're seeing quite a few lands in Samuel's hand, as well as what looks like a Clothis God of Destiny, maybe hoping to take control of some Storm of the Festivals and then deny that to Mason. But I don't know how much I like this card in this matchup.
Yeah,
It's a little on the slow side.
it's more of like it's a card that you want against like Arclight Phoenix or decks that use their graveyard quite a bit.
Blue Eye Control, maybe?
Pelucranos and or not Pelucranos, Clothis and all those gods that require 7 loyalty in order to turn into a creature, they're essentially just enchantments that sit there
Right.
on the table and have a an activated or static ability. And this one is not terrible, right? Like it's a very good effect, but it is not one that is good against specifically mono green. They can take literally 19 damage and still be alive and kill you out of nowhere like Mason did last game.
Right. There was a period of time in Modern maybe where this card was excusable, but part of that is because of the fetch lands in Modern. I mean, Klothys was also a mana source. You really don't see that in Pioneer. Another reason why Deathrite Shaman doesn't see as much play.
True. Yeah, Deathrite Shaman banned in Modern because of its power with those fetch lands, but since the fetch lands were not ever allowed to be legal in Pioneer, we
Expressly
see
forbidden.
we see some of those cards that pair well with fetch lands just kind of falter, just peter out compared to their counterparts in other formats.
Right. Looks like Mason's looking at a Karn the Great Creator, Pelucranos Reborn, and Boseiju Who Endures. Trying to figure out what he can make out of those. But first, a cough drop.
Yep. All right. Has a Boseiju as the land for turn. 5 mana before he plays it. Could go Karn for Haywire Might. I believe Haywire Might can exile the Klothys if
I
he
can,
is
yes.
scared of it.
Mason just confirming that with a judge.
Okay.
Confirming something about Klothys at any rate.
All
And
right.
stepping away from the table.
Let me go ask a question. Da, da, da. I'm bored. All
You
right.
know, this if Mason does elect to go the Haywire Might route, first of all, thanks for the raid, Misplaced Ginger.
Yo! Big raid! Misplaced Ginger. Yo, congrats on your challenge win.
Yeah.
Playing Rakdos midrange, won challenge yesterday. How'd the event go today? I know he was playing the Pio challenge, I think. Or modern, I don't know. Sorry. He won with Rakdos midrange in some challenge recently in Pioneer. But
Yeah.
thank you so much for
That's how
huge
Ginger
raid.
does. Anyway, the turn that Mason may be thinking about here, running out a Karn and a Haywire Might, is pretty good at being able to block for the Karn on this Lovestruck Beast, and then activate and get rid of the Klothys, just to kind of give Mason another turn with this Karn to maybe get something more impactful down on a following turn. Let's see what Mason has figured out.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us from Misplaced Ginger stream, we are in the top 4 of the Apex Gaming Pioneer Open. We are watching Mason Esports Clark on Mono Green Devotion, and he won a nail biter of a game at number 1. Peeled a Nykthos at just the right time and was able to combo kill his opponent, who had exploded onto the battlefield with Reckless Stormseeker, Eska's Chariot on turns 2 and 3. Now, developing his board, plays at Pelucranos. No Nykthos in sight just yet. And Samuel Ball, we're going back to him with the Klothys in play.
And we noticed Mason declining to play the Karn, also declining to play Boseiju out, possibly really valuing that card as a way to counter the Crowan War out of Sam's deck.
Yes. All right. Off to the side, you can't see it, is a Bone Crusher Giant that can be cast here as a 4/3. Klothys is still a little ways away from being a creature, but the static ability is decent in a grindier game. Unfortunately, there's no graveyard right now for you to play.
We have already seen Klothys only had one card to exile this entire game because Samuel's removal spell was an adventure and never went to the graveyard. So we'll see if Klothys can get online and get some beats in this game because otherwise it doesn't seem to be having a huge effect.
All right, back Mason's way. Nykthos is the dream card.
Right.
Karn the Great Creator, no slouch. Has a little bit of defense. The Old Growth Troll blocks Bone Crusher nicely. Can pair up with the Llanowar Elves to double block. Can pair up with the Pelucranos to double block.
Right. And if Mason's looking for more mana, he might even be happy to see one of those 4+ power creatures swinging in, get this Old Growth Troll back onto a forest.
You have to think of Mono Green Devotion kind of like a ramp deck, but also a storm deck, right? A combo deck.
Right.
And oftentimes, Old Growth Troll, it'll jump in front of a 5/5 or a 6/6 pretty early in the game when you're at 20, just because in some draws, in some situations, the extra mana is invaluable. It gets you from 5 to 6 sometimes, so you can cast Storm the Festival. It works really nicely with untap effects like Kiora. So, like you said, it's a great blocker, both because it's, trades in combat pretty well. It's a great attacker because it has trample. It's just a great card.
Right, and that's one of the reasons you saw Samuel not incentivized to attack at all with this Love Struck Beast on the previous turn.
All right, tapping 4. Here's a Karn. We're gonna figure out what to do with it here. Could minus, go get Darksteel Citadel and play it. Could go get Haywire Might and play it, and then maybe get Boseiju down, and then that'll allow him to eat the Colossus in a pinch, gain some life, and make sure that thing is not a problem at any point.
Right, but Mason at this point in the game, I don't know how scared he is of that Clothis. Might be setting up for a future turn here with Karn. We see he is pulling to the front that Darksteel Citadel, uh, trying to hold on to the Boseiju, or maybe develop a threat like Sky Sovereign.
Okay.
And it looks like Mason is committing to Sky Sovereign, setting up for next turn to try to take over this stalled board in the air.
All right. Passes the turn back to Sandball. We're gonna draw no targets for the Colossus. Womp womp. Stormseeker, Voldaren.
Darren Thrillseeker actually a pretty good card in this spot. Sam could use it to take down this Karn before it's able to get another card, and that either Thrillseeker or Sky Sovereign. Those are some of the cards Mason was thinking about when he decided to make sure to get a threat off of this Karn rather than just a utility piece on the first
Yeah,
turn.
you're not guaranteed to find something next turn because
Exactly.
it's under duress.
But we do see Reckless Stormseeker come down and still only at 5 devotion for this Clothis. See what the Stormseeker is going to be pushing into the fray.
Target itself, just send everything at Karn to kill it. Seems a little less efficient than just throwing the Thrillseeker at it.
All right, especially with the old growth troll that we discussed, not being able a bad card to block with. Here comes Stormseeker, and Mason is more than happy to jump in front. And Samuel just passes the turn.
Mind games.
Mind games.
Mind games. Trying to fill the graveyard for the Colossus, maybe? Desperation move? Unclear.
Yeah, but we know now Mason, with that Sky Sovereign, take care of Bone Crusher Giant, really stifle Samuel's pressure.
All right, here comes Sky Sovereign. We're going to chew up that Bone Crusher Giant, more than likely. No Nykthos means we're going to basically play one spell a turn, one relevant spell a turn for a little while. Karn going to likely go get Darksteel Citadel here, so we just have extra mana to work with, and here we are. That way we get one extra blocker with the Line of Worlds in the worst case scenario.
But there we go, leaving that forest untapped instead of Land Worlds, actually.
Alright, Bone Crusher down. Bone Crusher does only trigger on cast spells, not abilities, so no damage from the trigger. And Sky Sovereign chews it up, and we have a passing of the turn. Ah, he wants to hold up Boseiju. That's what he's wanting to do.
Exactly.
Very smart.
Plukernos Reborn being a legendary creature means Boseiju only costs 1 mana. Mason is really worried about a Crone War as a way for Samuel to climb back into this game.
Right.
Wants to keep that under control.
Alright, we do know the Samuel Ball. I mean, look, he actually has the Voldaren Thrillseeker in play, right? So, like, there's a chance that he's able to kind of use them to combo kill Mason in tandem with the Colossus damage. The board is super gummed up, and Mason isn't threatening lethal anytime soon.
That's true.
So, I wouldn't be surprised if we just see Love Strike Beast become a 7/7 and just dumb ya for 7. And then if he has another Thrillseeker in hand, all he's got to do is draw one other big creature. Bang. Mason's dead.
Alright, so these Thrill Seekers could be a way out for Samuel. See if he wants to run one out just to keep some cards on the board. That's one of the problems with Thrill Seeker, right? You can put it down here, get some counters on your Love Struck Beast, but that would involve if you wanted to sacrifice it, it would have to be now, and then your board is just a couple 1/1s up against everything Mason has to offer.
Oh yeah, but the thing is, if he has two Thrill Seekers though, he can just hopefully put together a 2-chain kill. You know, he only has to do so. The Clawthus is going to deal 2 a turn. He's going to gain some life. He's at 23. He's not really in danger of dying next turn, right? So we're going to add 2 to the Love Struck Beast, and we're going to fling it at face for 7. I have to imagine that's what the play is going to be. Although Sam might have different plans. There it comes. Okay. Now he can declare an attack and see what Mason does. If Mason wants to chump block, fine. If there's a double block, oh, just passes the turn. I think Sam got cold feet, and now the backup ability is no longer active. I don't think he can win a longer game like this. I think he should have just shot for the moon. Might have been able to steal this game too from Mason. Still can win. We're just gonna
Right.
have to see what Mason can cobble together here.
Also, possibly missed an opportunity to sacrifice the Thrill Seeker itself to take care of this Karn. If Mason is wary of that, he could start out the turn by activating that ability.
Okay.
Mason counting out some mana, lining up the lands.
I know he has a Woolful of Haven that's been kind of stuck over there for a little while.
Right.
And he's been using his mana in a certain way and wanting to keep up Beseiju for a Crone War, so I get it. Here's Wolfwillow now. 2, 3, 4, 5. Can almost transform the Plukernos. Gonna go ahead and just hard cast. This Cavalier of Thorns gonna dig 5. Looking for Nykthos. Finds it. Nykthos, the third one down. Can he activate it this turn? No, he looks tapped out.
Yep, but time definitely running out for Samuel here, especially once this Karn activates and guarantees another wish for next turn. Turning on the Sky Sovereign, and Mason will just get in the air, take out the human token.
Okay, I'm gonna knock that token down, and we're gonna go back Samuel Ball's way. And he's killing the token for a couple reasons, but mostly he just doesn't want more food for Clothis for later on, I think. Well,
Right?
I guess there's a ton of food now that he did
Yeah.
resolve the Cavalier of Thorns, so maybe just targeting Thrill Seeker was better, but hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him. Samuel draws. Clothis trigger. Take 2. Mason down to 12. Thrill Seeker from hand here. We can go Thrill Seeker, make a 9/9. Love Struck Beast. Throw to face.
That gets you really close.
We go block, block with the Thrill Seeker. Shoot, shoot, untap. Clothis kills you.
Wow.
So, Samuel might have found a way out here. It might take a full turn cycle.
But you mentioned those. So Samuel actually looks like trying to save this Lovestruck Beast as a blocker for this turn. Make sure Mason can't find lethal before he does. Um, if Mason decided to play around it, actually, Tormod's Crypt would be an interesting tool to counter Clothis' ability
Yeah.
if Mason is on that level 3 or whatever.
Pretty
it would
sure
be.
Restorative Burst is just going to save the day, right?
boy.
Nykthos, Karn, Restorative Burst. We have everything. I can't imagine that the game goes for another turn, but even if it does, I don't know. The graveyard's not super full for Mason, so Restorative Burst isn't that good, but it will get the Karn back, and then the Karn finds anything else,
Right,
right?
so we're starting on the devotion count. I see 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 devotion for Mason, plus some elves, plus some lands. 17 mana at Mason's disposal, I believe.
Okay. All right, we're taking a look at the sideboard. If he minuses the Karn, it goes to the graveyard. Now let's him get Restorative Burst. Instead, we're going to go for Haywire Might, because I guess we just found
That
lethal
also
somehow.
answers the play.
So,
I don't know,
what's happening? Did he draw it? It looked like he grabbed it from his sideboard, but the Karn should be in the graveyard if that's what's going on here.
there it goes.
Okay, cool.
Getting a little ahead of himself, maybe.
Yeah.
But, let's see.
Transform.
Ah.
Okay. And we can crew. We can make a huge layer of the Hydra. We can force you down to just, I